These are my clearance lights. They're properly mounted, not broken or cracked. They should be amber in color and working properly at all time. These are my headlights. They're properly mounted, not missing, not broken, not cracked. My low beam, my high beam should be clear in color. My left turn signal, right turn signal should be amber in color, working properly at all time. I'm gonna go check underneath my truck. I'm gonna check for leaks, hanging wires, and hanging hoses. On this side, I'm gonna check my alternator. My alternator is properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. It is belt driven, no more than 3/4 of an inch of play on my belt. It has no missing parts, no missing bolts. It has no loose wires, no frays, and no illegal tape. They're all in good condition. My individual hoses have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. They're properly mounted and secure by clamps on both sides. Oh, and they're not leaking. This is my coolant reservoir with cap. My coolant reservoir is properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. My cap is tight and secured. It's filled to the proper level. It's not leaking. If I need to fill my coolant, I will do so here when the truck is cool enough to do so. Okay. My water pump. It is belt driven. No more than 3/4 of an inch of play on that belt. It's properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, and it's not leaking. My power steering pump. My power steering pump is properly mounted to my air compressor. Okay. They are both gear driven. They're both properly mounted, and they're both not bent, broken, or cracked, or leaking. My steering shaft. My steering shaft is properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. No more than 2 inches of free play. Okay. My U-joints are properly lubricated. Okay. My coolant reservoir with cap.
My power steering reservoir.
My power steering reservoir with cap. My cap is tight and secure. It's properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, or leaking, filled to the proper level. My hose has no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. Properly mounted, secured by clamps on both sides. Okay. My gearbox is properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, not leaking, not missing any bolts. My steering linkage, which consists of my pitman arm, my drag link, my steering knuckle, and my tie rod ends, which are supported by castle nuts and cotter pins. All right, they're properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. Okay, my spring mounts, properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, not missing any bolts. My leaf springs, they're properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. They're not shifted, and they're secured by U-bolts and spacers. My U-bolts are properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, not missing any bolts, and they're secured to my axle. My shock absorber, okay, it's properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, and it's not leaking hydraulic fluid. Okay. Now I'm gonna do my brake system. So my brake system consists of my air lines and hoses. They have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. Okay. They're properly mounted. They're not leaking. My brake chambers. My brake chambers are secured with clamps on both ends. They're properly mounted, not leaking. Okay. My slack adjuster. My slack adjuster is properly mounted, not been broken or cracked. Right? And secure and connected to my push rod. My push rod is properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, and has no more than 1 inch of free play when my brakes are released. Now inside my brake system,
with pins,
with pins and cotter keys. Yeah. Inside my tire, I'm gonna check for my brake drums. My brake drums are properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. No illegal welds. Okay. My brake shoes have no less than 1/4 inch thickness. Okay. My brake linings are free from oil, grease, and white powder. They're properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. Okay. My tires are at 100 psi or manufacturer specification. They have even threads. Okay. They're free from abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. No screws or nails. Okay. I'm gonna check the pressure, my tire pressure with the tire gauge. Okay. My front tires should be at 432s, and they cannot be recapped. Okay. My bow stems properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, not leaking. Okay. My rim is properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked. No illegal welds. All my lug nuts are present. My lug nuts show no signs of shiny threads or rust trails that would indicate that they're loose. My hub seal is properly mounted, not bent, broken, or cracked, filled to the proper level, and it's not leaking. Not missing any bolts.
So that concludes section A.
That concludes section A.